Hi, I'm Henry Crew. Thanks so much for coming back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the best ways to mount a GoPro on your motorcycle and some tips and tricks for making sure you get the best photos and footage that you possibly can. We all like to take photos and videos to record the memories of our favorite rides, our favorite roads, and maybe show off a little bit too. But unfortunately, they often end up a little bit lackluster. They don't really show the speed, they don't show any kind of character in the video or in the footage. So hopefully there's a good few tips and tricks in here to help you add a little bit of spark into those images and videos. There's basically 3 ways to attach an action camera for use on a motorcycle. The first is sticky mounts. They're really versatile and allow you to attach your GoPro to most surfaces of a motorcycle as long as it's not too angular or too curved. You can get curved or flat sticky mounts, and it's worth getting a selection so that you're using a mount that fits properly. The only real drawback with sticky mounts is actually having them stuck to your bike. They look pretty awful and I'm always worried that I'm going to damage the paint. It's probably an irrational fear, but the bottom line is I don't want these mounts to be on my bike all the time, and to get an interesting amount of angles, I'm going to have about 3 stuck on at any one time. They are removable and reusable to a point, but that's a whole lot of work for a few GoPro clips. Here are my 3 favorite sticker mount points: the front fender, the tail of the bike, and the front forks. The second option you've got is clamp and strap mounts. These are best used on the handlebars, and to be honest, that's normally what they're designed for, although you may be able to get creative and attach them elsewhere depending on the model of your bike. When mounting to the handlebar, I prefer to mount backwards facing the rider to make sure there is actually a subject in the video, which makes it more interesting. If the camera's facing forwards when mounted on the bars, it can be a pretty boring shot. It's just a road whizzing past with no focus point or context, and as the bars are quite high up, it won't even look that dynamic or fast. You're a bit limited with these mounts by which surfaces you can fit them on, but they can be great for vlogging. My favorite clamp mount is this GoPro handlebar mount, which rotates 360 degrees. That allows you to have one handlebar mount and swivel it around to face you, or face the road, or face sideways to film friends passing or passing scenery, which is really handy. No one wants to unscrew a clamp mount every time they want to adjust their shot. The third option that you've got is body mounting. Now, body mounts are my favorite kind of mount. They get the best results and are also the most convenient. You get some movement in the shot, and you also get a lot of vibration dampening, which is a real plus. They really give you that awesome POV look that you only get from action cameras. The body mounts I use most often are the chesty mount and the dango gripper mount, which I use on the chin bar of my helmet. Both of these are awesome for capturing a through the bars perspective and bringing your audience along for the ride. It's interesting to your audience because not everyone gets to see this perspective. I switch between the chin and chesty mount mainly because of the bike I'm riding. If I'm riding a taller bike with higher bars and an upright seating position where I'm sat in the bike, I'll use a chin mount for the best framing. This is the same for a low bike with a sporty riding position. The chest mount can be too low, meaning I get a shot that's all bike and arms and has no view of the road. I'll use the chest mount when I need a slightly lower shot, like on my street triple, which is a low bike without an aggressive riding position. This leaves too much distance between the camera and the bars if I mount it on the chin of my helmet. With clamp and sticky mounts on a bike, the shots can be a bit boring and lifeless unless you get a bit creative with moving the camera away from the bike. However, this can compromise the riding and safety, plus they often work themselves loose. When mounted on the chin of your helmet, you get a great view which also moves when you do, creating added interest and variety in your shots. Check out my review on some of the different chin mounting options, including the dango gripper mount, which I mentioned before. Okay, I'm going to run through some tips and tricks real quick. If you're riding with other people, take advantage of that. Set a camera up on the back of your mate's bike and get some awesome footage of you chasing them. One thing to remember with GoPro is if you're shooting on a wide setting, you need to be super close in order to appear close in the shot. It's important to be aware of the field of view settings. There's a few options in GoPro. I either use linear or super view. Super view being super wide, getting the whole handlebar area in and a good view of the road, and linear having no warp at all, which is more of a standard camera lens look. If you're taking photos with your GoPro, make sure you're capturing those photos in RAW to get the best quality image. Don't get stuck in landscape. Remember that you can shoot in portrait, and this is actually preferable when you're creating content for Instagram. Make sure Hypersmooth is turned on when you're recording video. If you are using an older GoPro, make sure to mount it to your body to reduce the vibration. Vibration from the bike can create rolling shutter and all sorts of other nasty bits and bobs that you just don't want in your photos and in your footage. Why not use some filters? They can be picked up pretty cheaply. ND filters will reduce the light coming into the camera, and this will add motion blur, giving your footage a more cinematic look and adding some more interest to your photos. You can also get gradient NDs to stop the sky blowing out, and this happens a lot when traveling at speed or changing scenery through tree-covered roads and the like. You can also get polarizer filters which stop the glare off the tank of your motorcycle, which is a real plus. If you don't want to spend money on filters, you can just cap the ISO in the settings to force the shutter speed to slow down and create motion blur in video and images. The bike should still be sharp, as that's staying pretty central the whole time. Use time-lapse photo to capture images. This is predominantly what I use on the motorcycle. I set the interval and I just ride. At the end of the day, I'll have a whole bunch of photos which I'll have to scroll through, and I'll probably cull 95% of them, but it's hands-free and you just don't have to think about anything. Another great tip is to use a really good editing platform such as Lightroom Mobile or Premiere Rush. They're free to use, and you can really improve the image by balancing it out and saving a lot of detail that GoPros often lose. GoPro sound recording sucks. To get some better audio of your bike, try taping a set of headphones with a microphone to the wheel arch. You'd be surprised how much this can improve the sound quality. Make sure you're cleaning all surfaces before you're attaching any mount, and if you're using sticky mounts, you can heat them up so they adhere to the surface better. My final and maybe the most important tip is, no matter how tempting it is, do not use the GoPro suction mount. It is awful and will fall off every time you use it. For some reason, I still decide to give it one last chance every 6 months or so, and I regret it shortly after, normally as my GoPro is tumbling down the road and getting run over. Now, I know this is a lot of information. There's a whole bunch of tips and tricks there, and you don't need to use them all. Just pick and choose what works for you. Let me know in the comments below. I really want to know what mounts you're using, if you've tried any of these tricks, and how they've improved your photos. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope it's been useful. Make sure you subscribe and like the video, and I'll get back to you with some more great content soon.